But let's talk about the Coalition of Reforms on Democracy and the politics therein. Yeah. Those that have felt, analysts looking at this coalition, that ODM is a dominant, that Ford Kenya and Wiper are the underdogs, and that you do not consider yourselves as equal partners, although you constantly will come out and say you're each equal partners as the principals in this coalition. Is Ford Kenya really an equal partner in CORD?
You know, in a structured relationship as like that, one has to look at much more than the issue of whether one is stronger or weaker. We have a partnership and a political coalition called CORD. CORD brings us together as ODM, Ford Kenya, Wiper, and there were several other less visible parties, Federal Party that I don't see much anymore. They have one senator in the Senate who acts against CORD and so on. And we have also
Which
others.
One?
He's the senator for Tana River.
Okay.
Came on Federal Party, which is an affiliate member of CORD, but his first distinguished activity in the Senate was to betray CORD by voting against our candidate for Speaker, but it's now history. We in CORD see ourselves as a partnership, and I think for us to start segmenting ourselves as to who is bigger, who is stronger, is unhelpful. And helpful to the extent that even the weakest link can be the strongest link, and the strongest link can be the weakest link in any formation.
Let me hold you to that.
Yes.
In as far as the strongest link, or what could be perceived as the strongest appearing, being the weakest and vice versa,
yes.
ODM is perceived to be the strongest link. But in the recent past has had quite a number of unfortunate incidents, some violent, from nominations to the ejection of Magerer, in terms of elections, remember also February last year. So quite a number of those that have had many questioned democracy in ODM. So would you say for ODM is one that appears to be the strongest link, but in actual fact is the weakest link in this coalition?
I speak not for ODM, but I can speak for CORD and Ford Kenya. ODM is the single largest political party in Kenya today. Whether you are comparing it with the URP or TNA, it is the single largest party in the country. And large parties, or like large institutions, also always have their own challenges in holding together, in managing their affairs. But I think the cohesion in ODM is still something that we cherish and we think is important for CORD. We want to encourage them that the failed national elections at Kasarani and the happenings at Homa Bay during the nominations are things that no party would want to embrace as a modus operandi, and the things that I have personally discussed with my brother Raila and told him the party should shed off the tag of that nature. Then you have Wiper, which you saw over the weekend. They had a meeting and they're trying to also face their challenges. There's not a single entity in this country that doesn't have challenges. So, even you yourself in life have challenges.
So Wiper,
when you have challenges, you face them, you deal with them, you sort them out.
So in that meeting you're mentioning, Wiper, some people came up, were donning T-shirts written, I think it was Kalonzo 2017, The Journey Begins.
Yes.
So we're seeing him putting house in order, I set on 2017, Odinga and Co as well in ODM.
Yes.
What about yourself?
I have said this before, and let me repeat it for the record. Before we went to 2012-2013 elections, I was a presidential candidate declared. So was Kalonzo. So was Raila. We subordinated ourselves to a common good and formed CORD and fronted our brother Raila as our candidate. And then Kalonzo became running mate, and I took a position to go and be the majority leader in case we got the majority. The alternative was minority, where I am. That was for 2012-2013. 2017 is a different ballgame. None of us has thrown in the towel in our ambitions to become president. Raila still wants to become president. I want to become president. Kalonzo wants to become president.
And some would argue, since you already had a run in 2013, that now it should be up to you or Kalonzo. So in the event he still is the one to take, and perhaps whatever mechanism you lose, I guess you will not be telling us that. Will you then decide to jump ship, or will you again subordinate your ambition to his?
We are looking for good things for this country. If you may look back after elections, you'll always find that most political groupings or coalitions, immediately after elections, if they win elections, they start wrangles as to who is being unfair to who. You've even seen, even with the facade of unity that you're seeing within Jubilee,
JAP.
Behind the curtain, there is a lot of jostling and backstabbing that we know is going on. And there is one thinking they're being shortchanged, one thinking they're being unfair to each other, and so on. For us, when you do not take power, the temptation to break up is even higher. Everybody wants to go their way. CORD has held on admirably well. In fact, it is not just in this country, but if you look at comparable jurisdictions within the African continent and beyond, most political formations that come together to pursue an electoral contest disintegrate immediately after the outcome. We have stuck together, and we're still together. And I want to tell you this, that we have no automatic candidate in CORD.
So in the event,
each one of us is a candidate,
is equal,
and a mechanism will be worked out. In fact, we have our teams that are thinking through to advise us on the best way of arriving at a consensus or a contest that will give us a candidate.
So whatever that mechanism eventually will turn out to be, in the event Raila ends up to be the candidate, or say Kalonzo, will you be
me?
Or no, well, to my question, will you be willing in the event it's either of the two to subordinate your ambition, or will you seek to still go for the presidency?
I think all the three of us have fairly good democratic credentials.
Yes.
You remember Raila saying Kibaki Tosha when he was himself a contestant. You remember Kalonzo agreeing to become a running mate, and I agreed to play the role I played in the last elections. We believe, rather I believe, that our credentials to that extent melted towards the direction of each one of us knowing that yes, I have a personal ambition, so does Raila, so does Kalonzo. But we also have a country to look at. So in short,
you'd be willing to?
As long as we have a mechanism that will arrive at a decision that is fair, free, democratic, open, and just.
Although others,
then such a decision has to be respected, because you'll be actually an antithesis of democracy if you participate in a contest and then when it doesn't work in your favor, it becomes a case of sour grapes and
right. It is widely believed many times in these mechanisms, it all boils down to what each candidate brings on the table. And when the three of you are put out there, Raila, Kalonzo, and yourself, Raila would be perceived to bring most on the table. Let's look at your base, for example. In terms of the Western Kenya politics, it's been disintegrated for a very long time. Efforts to bring that, consolidate a vote-rich area have failed so far. Just the other day I was reading an article that there are new efforts to form this Lutesa, Luya, Teso, Sabaot, to just try and bring all of this, consolidate that base to back one candidate and, have perhaps more bargaining power. So do you see yourself bringing enough to the table even at the end of the day?
I can tell you, like they say in the film industry, watch this space.